Hi everyone, welcome back to Cody's Lab. So what you see here is a reaction vessel, and it's big enough for me to fit inside. Now this thing is designed to handle about 60 psi of positive pressure, and I'm pretty sure it can handle a vacuum. So let's turn this thing into a vacuum chamber that I can also pressurize, which will be pretty cool, don't you think? So here's the data plate. You can see it was made by Leader Iron Works in 1961. And here's its rated pressure, 55 psi at 650 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm assuming it was some sort of pressure cooker. I've looked online and all I've seen is similar things that were called a reaction vessel. So maybe chemical reactions were done inside this thing, but I'm not entirely sure what it was used for. If you know, feel free to let me know in the comments. It is a bit rusty, as it is extremely old. You can see it's got some rust flaking off here. And so I don't think I'm going to go to the full design pressure of the 60 psi, even though, you know, it probably can handle it. Just to be safe though, I don't think I'll ever put more than 30 psi in it. Let's set this thing up so that it can handle a vacuum. The first thing I've got to do is replace the gasket here. See, there's no gasket present. I'm thinking for now I'll just use like some silicone, get some real hard silicone to put in there. That ought to seal it just fine, at least for some testing. Okay, so here's the lid. I'm going to clean this up a little bit, maybe with a little bit stiffer stick. Okay, that's probably good enough. So there we go, the silicone has cured. I've put a plug in the bottom and a temporary plug right here on the side. And as you can see, I've installed some gauges. You can see this one is a pressure gauge, it goes up to 30 psi, and this one's a vacuum gauge, which will show negative 30 inches of mercury. So let's hook the vacuum pump up to it and see if this thing collapses. I sure hope it don't. Okay, here it goes. As you can see, I got a little vacuum pump hooked up to it. Let's pump it down and see what happens. I'm actually going to tighten this down just a little bit, just to help the seal form. And I can do that because of these bolts. And let's turn the pump on. Probably it'd help if I open the valve, huh? Oh, we got a vacuum. Excellent. The vacuum gauge is increasing, so I got it sealed. Let's just see what happens as we get down to a full vacuum. Could take a few minutes. Pump's already starting to heat up. I probably should have used the bigger one. I'm kind of afraid to get too close to this thing. Now we're just about 13 inches of mercury, so that's roughly half of the atmosphere removed. Seems to be holding up so far. Just kind of watching this close to see if I can see any dents forming. Nothing's happening yet. You can see these are loose now, because it's pushing down so tightly on it. I'm gonna have to turn this pump off and let it cool. Let's see how well it holds the vacuum. I didn't see the gauge drop immediately, so that's a good sign. I'll give it a few minutes for the pump to cool, and then I'll come back and start pumping again, assuming it didn't lose all its vacuum. Well, here we are about 10 minutes later, and I can't tell any change. The camera might have picked up something. Let's turn the pump back on and see if we can take it all the way the rest of the way down to 25 inches of mercury, or maybe closer to 23 at this altitude. Let's actually pull this back so we can watch the thing collapse if it does. Well, we've been pumping for, I think, 12 minutes total. If I look at the gauge, yeah, that looks like about 23 inches, so that's darn near a full vacuum. So it held. Excellent. Shut this down. And, yeah, I guess now is just the time to let the air back in. What's crazy about this is I'm about to let in probably half a pound of air into the chamber. It is that big. I think it's about 50 gallons. But let's see what happens when I turn the valve on. Camera moved. What is causing that? You know, I never thought it would take that long to repressurize a vacuum chamber. Of course, this is a small hole here. It's still not depressurized. It's crazy. Let's see if I can lift the lid now. Nope. The lid ain't coming off. There we go. That did it. Let's see how it fared. So it looks like the edge of this here cut into the seal here. Like it's actually pretty damaged. I don't know if that'll hold again. So I'm gonna have to figure something out to protect the seal. See, just shove the metal right into the silicone. I guess it makes sense because there was several tons of pressure pushing on it. It's still upsetting.